What if the most iconic cars in history were almost called something completely different? The truth is, hidden inside every famous badge is a story of last-minute panic, corporate espionage, and sometimes pure, unadulterated pettiness. Let's start with a modern icon, the Tesla Model 3. Naming a car seems straightforward, but for one of the world's most famous CEOs, it became a legal and linguistic battlefield. The Model 3 was far more than a new electric vehicle. It was the final piece of a puzzle meant to spell out a very specific word. Here S the plan. Tesla already had its flagship Model S and the audacious Model X with its dramatic doors. The natural progression was a more accessible, compact car. The intended name, Model E, this would complete the trilogy, SEX, but then, a giant from Detroit slammed on the brakes. Ford, who actually held the trademark for Model E, immediately threatened legal action. The irony is almost too perfect, considering Ford's own Model E project has been stuck in development, reportedly losing billions. So, the CEO did what he does best. He pivoted with a wink. He transformed the letter E into the numeral 3, stylizing it with 3 horizontal lines. The essence of the E remained, just rotated. He famously quipped, "We were going for SEXY, but Ford sued the E away, so now it's S3XY. Next up, the Ford Mustang. It's impossible to imagine this legend with any other identity. Yet, this iconic American machine was dangerously close to being branded the Cougar, the Torino, or even the Thunderbird too. Sounds wrong, doesn't it? Thankfully, a Ford designer with a passion for the skies stepped in. John Najar was an aviation enthusiast, and in the early 60s, with America captivated by jets and space, his mind kept drifting to a legendary World War II fighter, the P-51 Mustang. This aircraft was a game-changer, so formidable that enemy leaders saw it as a sign of certain defeat. Najar thought, if that name embodies victory and freedom, it could sell cars. Initially, executives were hesitant. A name tied to a warplane didn't seem right for a family showroom, so Najar brilliantly reframed the pitch. He kept the name but shifted the inspiration to the wild horses of the American West. Untamed, independent, and powerful. That was the trigger. It captured the spirit of rebellion and the open road. A Ford executive reportedly said it had the sound of the open plains and was as American as it gets. With that, the Mustang wasn't just released, it charged into history. Now for a rivalry born in a press conference, the Chevrolet Camaro. The 1960s were an automotive gold rush, and Ford's Mustang had started a revolution. Ford was printing money, and their crosstown rival, General Motors, was feeling the heat. They initiated a top-secret project, codenamed Panther. For 2 years, rumors of this predator swirled through Detroit. Ford sensed a threat but couldn't identify it. Then on a summer day in 1966, Chevrolet gathered the press. The invitation was a single, cryptic message, "Come help us scratch a cat." Confusion reigned. Then Chevy's top executive, Pete Estes, took the stage and made the announcement. "Ladies and gentlemen, meet the Camaro." The room was silent. A journalist finally asked Camaro, "What does that mean?" Estes, without hesitation, delivered the killer line. "A Camaro is a small, vicious animal that hunts and eats Mustangs." The place erupted, and just like that, one of the greatest automotive feuds was officially born. Chevrolet would later offer a more diplomatic definition, claiming it was derived from a French term for friend, but nobody bought it. We all knew the real story. Moving to Italy, some names are cool by design. This one is cool by pure accident. The Lamborghini Countach isn't really a word, it's the sound you make when you see something that short-circuits your brain. Imagine Italy in the 1970s. Lamborghini's design studio was a hive of creative chaos. The team was crafting a vehicle so radical it looked like it had breached airspace regulations. The mastermind was Marcello Gandini, the visionary behind the Mira. Late one night, as the team fought exhaustion, a local craftsman, a man known for his strong build and thicker accent, walked in. He stared at the low, wide, razor-edged prototype and just blurted out Countach in the local dialect. The word can mean something like plague, but in that moment, it was pure, unfiltered astonishment. It's the Italian equivalent of holy smokes. Lamborghini heard it and knew instantly. No marketing studies, no board approvals, just one man's genuine jaw-dropped reaction. The car that could stop traffic got a name born from being utterly traffic-stopping. Next, a legend from Germany, the Porsche 911. Is this car named after the emergency number? It should be, given its speed. But the real story is a classic case of legal interference. In the beginning, the successor to the 356 had a different identity. Its internal code was Type 901. Everything was finalized until a French automaker raised a flag. Peugeot had legally claimed all 3-digit car names with a 0 in the middle. So when Porsche proudly presented the 901, they received a lawyer's letter. Most companies would have stalled. Porsche simply changed one digit. They swapped the 0 for a 1. And just like that, the 911 was born. Ironically, this new name was even more memorable. It had a rhythm, a balance that perfectly mirrored the car's character, a controlled explosion on wheels. History is sometimes made not by grand design, but by a simple, forced edit. While many names are born in sterile boardrooms, the Dodge Viper struck during a dinner in Italy. This is the story of Bob Lutz, a Chrysler executive who believed subtle was a dirty word. He envisioned an American rival to the Cobra car so raw and menacing it felt dangerous even standing still. To realize this beast, he partnered with Tom Gale, Dodge's design chief, a man who thought premium fuel was a beverage. Their mission: create a car that didn't just drive, it hunted. The naming moment happened when Gale was in Italy, discussing a different project with the legendary designer Giorgetto Giugiaro. As car enthusiasts do, they quickly started talking shop. Gale mentioned the secret snake-themed project and asked, "What's the Italian word for snake?" Giugiaro replied, "Vipera." Gale paused. Viper. It was short, sharp, and venomous. It was perfect. He returned to Detroit, presented the name, and the decision was unanimous. No committees, no testing, just pure, instinctual genius. Let's be clear, Di Tommaso was the underdog of Italian supercar makers. But in the late 60s, the small manufacturer created a masterpiece and gave it the most brutally petty name ever, the Manguste, Italian for mongoose. Now for the drama. You know the famous Ferrari-Lamborghini feud? Well, Alejandro Di Tommaso had his own rivalry, with none other than Carroll Shelby. The story goes that Shelby needed a new race car, and Di Tommaso promised to build it. The partnership, however, exploded spectacularly. Shelby left to work with Ford on the legendary GT40, the very car that would humiliate Ferrari at Le Mans. Di Tommaso felt betrayed. So, he crafted his revenge. He built a car that was even more stunning and aggressive, and he named it the Mongoose, the natural predator of the Cobra. It wasn't just a car. It was a 300-horsepower act of vengeance, cloaked in gorgeous Italian steel. And finally, the car that started the supercar revolution, the Lamborghini Miura. Every legendary machine begins with a rebellion. The Miura started with 3 engineers, a locked workshop, and direct orders from the boss to leave it alone. In the mid-60s, Ferruccio Lamborghini was successful with his elegant Grand Touras, but his young engineers Dallara, Stanzani, and Wallace were hungry for revolution. They were convinced the future was mid-engine, a layout reserved for purebred racers. Ferruccio's response was a firm no. So, they did it anyway. Night after night, behind closed doors, they welded and wrenched, fueled by passion and defiance. When they finally revealed their secret prototype, the P400 Ferretto didn't punish them. He looked at it, smiled, and admitted he was wrong. The car was breathtaking, low-slung, and impossibly curvaceous. It needed a name as wild as its spirit. Ferretto, a Taurus and an aficionado of bullfighting, founded in the legendary breeder of fighting bulls, Don Eduardo Miura. These animals were pure, untamed power. It was a perfect match. When the Miura launched in 1966, it didn't just debut, it created the very blueprint for the modern supercar, all thanks to 3 rule breakers and 1 very angry bull. So there you have it, the incredible, sometimes hilarious, and often petty stories behind some of the greatest names in automotive history. Which one was your favorite? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this ride through history, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Before we reveal our top 4, if you're enjoying these stories, hit that like button and comment which car name has surprised you the most so far. At number 4, the Chevrolet Corvette. Post-World War II America needed a sports car, and GM delivered a fiberglass jet fighter on wheels. They wanted a name starting with C, and an employee suggested Corvette, after a small, swift warship, heroic, sharp, and perfectly American. Number 3, the Pagani Huayra, pronounced Huayra. It's named after the Inca god of wind, Huayra Tata, a fitting name for a car that doesn't just cut through the air but dances with it, thanks to its wild active aerodynamics. At number 2, the Citroën DS. When this car debuted in France, it looked like a spaceship. The name is a stroke of genius. In French, DS is pronounced DS, which means goddess, the Citroën goddess. How cool is that? And our number 1, the Volkswagen Beetle. This car wasn't named by a marketing team. It was a nickname given by the people, who called it Käfer in Germany because it looked just like a beetle. The name stuck, and the car became a global icon of peace and love. Thanks for watching.